Yes. Welcome back, guys. I'm very excited for our live group interview today. I've got Kim Norman in the virtual studio with us today. And Kim, it's an honor to have you share with us live. I know this might be a little bit out of your comfort zone from your normal Amazon life, but I affectionately, and Kim didn't know this before we started today, but I affectionately have a nickname for her as Supermom. And she's been working with Grant. I know I'm going to embarrass you just a little bit, but not only, and I'll let Kim share the full story, but that's what we're going to talk about today. But not only did she rocket ship her Amazon business from a total of $3,000 in sales just about 7 months ago to having her first $40,000 month in a 30-day period this month in Q4, which is awesome. But she does that and runs a family of 3 and serves all over her community and still manages to find time sourcing replenishables and a side gig. So looking forward to talking to you. But Kim, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Good to be here, part of the group.
Yeah, it's been an honor to watch you grow. You really came in and took off. So I would love to, before we even get into it, I'd love just to kind of hear how you got into Amazon, because we all kind of have a unique journey that got here. So I guess my first question was, when did you officially join the group?
That was in February. Yes, in February I found the group and I chose this group to go with.
So what were you, just to give some context on your background, what were you doing before doing Amazon?
I was an eBayer. I still am, but that's kind of on hold right now. So I was heavily involved in eBay, and I guess my total sales with eBay is about $150,000 sales over, I guess, 4 years, which isn't very high, but just doing it day to day. And it wasn't replenishables or anything like that. It was just, you have to create every listing and list it and ship it out. And just doing that. And I found my little niche in eBay and stuck with that. And then decided to try something different. So I had heard, people sell on Amazon. I didn't even know that until one of my friends told me that's how Amazon works. So I began to research that last summer.
Okay. So this was a year prior. So you had some experience on eBay, and doing the fulfilling yourself. So what was it about Amazon that kind of caught your eye then?
The fact that I could hopefully find things to sell over and over, not creating listings is very time consuming doing that. And just being able to scale up quicker.
Okay, cool. Well, I've been talking with Grant this week because you've been working with him for the past, 7 months or so in the apprentice program. So I want to talk through that part of your story because you've had you had a background in e-commerce, but you started Amazon from scratch. You had gotten some early results, and then you just did some things the past 7 months to really take off in your business. I want to talk through some of those transitions. I guess first things, so you first joined the group then. How did the first couple months go selling on Amazon then for you?
The first I actually opened my Amazon account last December and really didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know at all anything about merchant fulfilled. FBA. So I found, the very first thing I scanned in a clearance section in our grocery store was like $3.50, and I scanned it and it showed me that it was selling for $25. So it looked like I was approved in it. So I sold that. I bought all of them and sold all of those merchant fulfilled. And I was really at that point knowing I was still researching. So I just did that basically to pay for my Amazon account. I just wanted to make sure I had stuff to sell that would pay for the monthly fee. Mm-hmm. So I could find somewhere to plug in and actually learn. Besides just myself and I researching all over the internet how to do this, I needed to plug into a group to help me, with questions and just the day-to-day stuff, because I wanted to do it right from the beginning.
Yeah, so and I didn't know this part about your story, but you had been researching for several months online before you found the group, and then you plugged into the group and started watching some training. We were talking about that earlier. We had some courses and things that you went through. And then when did you get into T.A.P? And I'm curious how, I want to talk through that because where was your business at? You got in the group, had started selling stuff merch and fulfilled. And then when did you first get into T.A.P?
When you guys were talking about it, I just thought I'd jump on board and try that out. And if it was a way for me to, I know that if I made the investment into that, I would make it happen because I wasn't going to just throw money away. So I felt like if I actually made an investment in training and one-on-one and, there's been a lot of, in our group, just a lot of helping each other. So I knew that if I made that investment, I would actually go do it. I mean, I knew I was going to do it anyways, but it really kind of lit my fire.
So there's a lesson in that, and there's a reason that we have that because you commit to yourself. And when you invest anything into a coaching program, or it's an investment into yourself. And it's funny that you said that because it's almost half psychological just to say, I'm going to do this no matter what and not quit. And it helps, obviously, having a mentor that can walk beside you. And I will ask you a little bit about Grant since he's not here. We can talk a little bit about what it's been like working with him. But first key that I'm noticing from your story is commitment. You made a decision. And so where were your sales at? I just want to hear from you. Where were your sales at when you first joined T.A.P? Do you remember?
I remember some of my, I had 2 payouts that were probably $400 or $500. $100 here, $100 there, 50.
Okay.
Just little miscellaneous. I didn't have time. I had to, once I joined the group or the T.A.P team, that is, I really had to carve out some time, and I had to get past my eBay heavy selling season, because actually my eBay selling season is kind of in May, June, July. So I had to ramp that down and ramp this up at the same time. So I knew I had to make this happen because I wasn't getting my income from eBay anymore, really.
Okay. So you made it. And so you said time was one of your biggest challenges. I'm curious how you broke through, because fast forward to today, and I just want to recognize you for the work that you've done. You're having your first $40,000 month in a 30-day period, and that's in for December this month, right?
Yes, it's at 46 now. So
46,000. And so, do you know what your net profit is on this month?
Gosh, Grant and I just did that the other day.
Putting you on the spot with numbers, but I know he holds you guys accountable to that. So I was just curious.
Yeah, we went through all that and he wrote it down. It was for December so far?
Yeah, for this same period. I mean, if you don't, that's fine. I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't know. I was just curious what you know what your
profit margin or ROI. I don't have it here. He has all those numbers written down, and I don't have it in front of me. It's good though. It was good. My numbers look really good. I know that. It's profit margin was, I want to say, 25%.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll follow up. I gotta follow up with Grant. We gotta make sure that you know these for next time, so that he can. Because if it sounds, I know I've been talking with him. He said he's been working with all you guys on your numbers, and I know he has them all. But we want you guys to have them, so I'm curious, so people know what kind of what a $40,000 a month means as far as profit. It certainly pays for Christmas and does some certain things for you guys. But cool. So you said time was your first big breakthrough. So I'm curious because everybody. And Kim, I've been talking to sellers and entrepreneurs for a long time, and every entrepreneur says the same thing. I don't have enough time to do this. So how did you break through that time conversation? I mean, obviously you didn't create more time and God didn't give you another 24 hours. So how did you break through that conversation? How did T.A.P help you break through that?
Well, I just had to decide to let certain things go, like my house. And, always cooking nice, healthy, balanced meals didn't always happen. And I had to say no to a few things and just work at night. I like doing that. That's easy for me to work at night on the computer or shop at night, or I get up early and I stay up late. I knew I had to go through this period in order to get to where I wanted to go. And now it's all getting easier as I'm figuring it out. But it's been a lot of hours. And my family has understood most of the time. They've understood and they know what's going on and they help. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you said some things there, and this is something that that everybody has to do, because a lot of people start this business, with the day job or something else. It's always like a side hustle at some point, or they have multiple side hustles. So you just said some things had to go. And that's I think the lesson in this, that to create more time, you had to let go of other things that were taking up your time and make some sacrifices, get up early, stay up late, and just make it a priority. And so when you're a part of a mastermind group and you've got peers, I think that's part of that. And I've been into, I keep a pretty close eye on the T.A.P chat, and you guys are just in there all day long, every day till like, when I go to bed on my phone, it'll be dinging like at midnight. And I'm like, these guys are crazy. But you're committed, and that's the power of a mastermind, is it helps hold you accountable. So I'm just curious from I'm just curious from being a part of T.A.P, what's been kind of the biggest breakthrough for you? And I know Grant's kind of pushed you along the way, and there's been a lot of pieces to it. But what have you noticed been the biggest breakthrough for you?
The biggest breakthrough on this? What do you mean? The biggest?
I'm just curious for you. Yeah. Besides whatever that is, 5 or 10xing your sales, which is a pretty big breakthrough. Like, what's been your biggest aha, like, about Amazon? Like, are you doing anything different than you were doing before? Or?
Oh, yes. I'm buying differently. I'm using lists that we all give each other suggestions of things to buy. We put stuff out there for each other. If we find something, we might share it with each other, because there's only, a few of us. So it's not like we're giving it to 80 people. We do that. We share. It helps to have them going through the same kinds of things. A big aha.
Okay. Okay, cool. So your buying habits have changed. And I do want to talk through the model a little bit and kind of what you've been up to. And you were just mentioning before we went live that you were in the midst of doing all this family stuff for the holidays. You managed to squeeze in some sourcing time for replenishables. So I do want to talk about the business model. But buying, you mentioned list. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Grant gives away the farm. You guys get everything in T.A.P. So there's a whole series of lists that you can buy off of and dial your strategy in. And then you mentioned sharing and being a part of a mastermind where it's a smaller group of people that you can share leads with each other. And that's been really cool to see too. So I am curious on your model. So what are you doing mostly sourcing? Are you doing retail arbitrage? Are you doing online arbitrage? Or what's your main business model?
I'm doing a lot of online now. Something I never had a lot of time to do is go out and just scan a whole store and then go to another store and scan it. I tried that a few times, and it just didn't work with trying to do everything else that I have to do with the kids and just everything. And so I bought a list. I'm on Grant's lists, and then I'm on a different list also. And once I joined that list, I saw that Grant's on it, and Kimberly and the Rays are on it, and Devin's on it. So it was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, I think I found a good list. So I'm on that list. And then I'm on something else also that I haven't really dug into, but I will after Q4. So I'm trying to do a lot of OA.
Okay.
I try to find replenishables with RA that I can find, especially in the grocery department. I find a lot of good stuff there.
Okay. That's
something. If I need to get some profit real quick, I'll just go grab some of those replenishables.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I am curious. So there's two different things you mentioned. The online arbitrage that you're doing and making the shift to invest in some list and the right list. We could probably talk about good lists and bad lists and all this stuff. And the second thing you mentioned is replens at the grocery. So I'm just curious, and if you guys are on live, go ahead and put in the comments if you guys would like to go, which one of those you guys are more interested in, and we can do a little choose your adventure since we're on live with the group. But I'm curious how you do your replens, because a lot of people in the group, we're moving and there's a shift. Everyone's moving. Everyone that's doing RA and OA is honing in on replens. And then obviously private label is the next step, which I've been talking with Craig Soderdahl this week. If you guys saw in the group, just launched like 12 more private label products this month. He's just crushing it. We're going to have more stuff with him in the new year. But with the replens, Kim, how do you have like a list, or how do you do replens? How do you like run your replenishable system?
Things that I'll order that are successful that I do OA with, I'll reorder. I just reordered some stuff recently. And, the list, when you have a list to shop from, you can go back in a month or two and check those things out. And you might not have liked those items at the time, but if you wait a few months, you can look at them again, and they might be on sale even more. And you can just repurchase and send them in. So I like doing that. And and I also like to find things at the store that are on sale.
Okay.
I'm looking for replens. Sometimes I'll go and look for things on sale and scan those, and then just catch them when they're on sale.
Okay. So do you keep like a list of your replenishables, or do you keep like a save list on Amazon, or how do you like keep track of all these things?
It's scrambled in my head right now. So
Okay.
it's scrambled. So I need to work on that. There's a lot I need to work on after the new year, and writing all that down is one thing, because I'll be flipping through my receipts and go, oh, I need to reorder that. That's all sold.
Okay.
So once I get through this crazy time, I'm going to work on those, and maybe Grant can help us create a system for that or something. I don't know.
Him and I have been talking about that. Actually, it's funny you bring that up, because systems is going to be a big focus for what you guys are doing in the new year. And that's for a lot of us in the group too, if you've got the processes down. So I'm glad that was that your husband in the background? I heard laughing.
Yeah, I think he's taking a lunch break. He works from home too. So he's up here eating something.
Awesome. Okay. So your husband runs a home business, and then you run a home business. You guys both get to work from home.
Yes, we always have been that way. So, and my boys have their own little business too. So it's nice.
Okay. Well, I'm curious what, that's awesome. First off, congratulations to both you guys, because just doing that and being with your family, I think that's the greatest success like ever. That's a big part of our why too. I mean, it's the whole reason I got into the home business industry 10 years ago, is just to be at home when we had a family, and that hasn't fully materialized. But what's you guys' why? Why did you get into Amazon? And I wonder if it connects with your husband working from home, but why did you guys, why are you doing all this stuff?
I am doing this because I used to be a teacher when I was, I taught kindergarten in Fulton County here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I decided that was not for me after I had my second child, because I was spending way too much time at the school and not enough time here. So I quit my job and stayed home for many years, and picked up eBay to bring in a little bit of revenue. And this is something, whether it be RA, OA, or whatever the next step is for us in Amazon, this is like the beginning of it. And I figure this is something we can do into retirement, because, when you're self-employed, you don't have like this retirement thing sitting there just waiting for you to retire and quit one day.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to create something that we can use later also.
Okay. So it's this was once you read, it's funny that my mom was actually a kindergarten teacher for like 25 years. She retired just a couple of years ago. So I can relate, more respect for you, Kim, because that's a whole nother topic. Teaching's a whole nother topic. But so you guys just wanted a vehicle that you could fund the family basically from now, and both of you guys being entrepreneurs working from home, we don't get the luxury of entrepreneur 401k or whatever pension comes with the territory. So you just want something that you could kind of work a side business, generate an income. And so is this all about your family for you guys? Like, is this you could go probably work any job, I'm assuming.
Yes. I just don't have an interest in going and working somewhere for $15, $20 an hour. I just don't have, I can, if I need to stop in the middle of the day and go do something, I can.
Yeah.
If I need to go run errands, I fit my sourcing in with running errands. And I know in our group that people have said, what's your schedule? Or, amongst ourselves, I guess we've asked each other what our schedules are, and I don't have a schedule. I just do it when I can. And just, if I'm out, I'll do some shopping. If I'm not, I'll be at home doing stuff like on the computer or repricing or shipping.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to talk through kind of, what your world looks like. I guess the first question is your team. Like, are you doing this? Are you doing the sourcing, the packing, the prepping on your own, or do you have staff or family, or what's your team look like?
No, there's no staff. It's just my son that I pay $10 an hour to help me. My other son that is trying to do this to earn money towards his school mission trip. And my husband helps me when he can around his schedule. Yeah, I couldn't have done this last month without all of their help because it's been a lot of time. So they help me. When they see I'm ultra stressed, especially, My husband will step in and help me for several hours packing, but they don't do the sort. Now, I have sent them out on sourcing trips. I have, here, sweetie, here's a credit card, go buy this, that at these stores, and they will. That's been a great help.
Okay.
I took my boys with me one time to Toys R Us when you could only buy one of something, and we each bought one. We tried to each buy one.
You split up like Delta 7. You split up and tackle the store. That's funny. So you've got your family involved. So it really is a family business for you guys. Your two sons. How old are your two sons, by the way? Your two boys?
16 and 18. And my daughter's 20.
16, 18, and 20. Man, you got a full house. This is the prime years for you guys. That's awesome that you get to involve your family. Man, what a blessing. So what's your? You said you don't really have a schedule, but how do you spend most of your time? Like, I guess my first question is, how much are you sourcing each week? And that's obviously kind of the beginning of the whole business. And this is where you make your money on Amazon when you buy. You realize it when you sell. So how much time are you spending sourcing from these lists or doing replens or whatever?
I usually look at my lists early in the morning or late at night. Not really during the daytime. I just am trying to do other sourcing at retail stores, finding replens, and sometimes on the list it'll be at a common store like Bed Bath & Beyond. So I might just run down to Bed Bath & Beyond and grab it, if I can
Okay.
on or whatever. So I am in and out of stores real quick usually. I mean, sometimes if I think it's worth it, I'll start scanning stuff around, like all of a brand of something to see if there's other replenishables or other deals, that I can find and send in. But I look for things that are, that don't just maybe make $1 or $2, but I try to find things that I can lower the price on, if need be, because sometimes you'll ship something in and it'll get there and all of a sudden it's $5 less. So I make sure that I buy things that I can afford to decrease the price on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I was going to ask you about criteria, but what do you typically look for? Like, do you have kind of a set of rules that you look for when you're sourcing?
That and kind of easy to ship. I learned my lesson on one of my lists. I ordered all this glass stuff and it's still sitting in a basket. It was these jars and I had no idea. I mean, I just, they cost $4 and they were going to sell for like $25 to $30. So I still have them. And I'm probably going to just give them as Christmas gifts because I don't feel like shipping them in because they'll probably break. So I learned that I don't like sourcing things like that because I'm afraid I'm going to lose out on that, money and they'll break. Yeah. So I like to ship things or buy things that are easy to ship. I also like to sometimes buy things that, small, but I don't mind buying large if it's profitable.
Okay.
I don't mind buying bundle things. I'll bundle things up, especially everybody knows in the grocery category. That's a good place to make a lot of money, is to find some bundles of grocery items.
Is doing bundling. Yeah.
And I saw that Elizabeth Garcia just put up something that said, do you use the 20% off at Bed Bath & Beyond? And my answer is yes. I bought the Bed Bath & Beyond 20% for a whole year on everything you buy. It was like $29. So I did invest into that, Elizabeth.
So that's like a rewards program for Bed Bath & Beyond. You get 20% for the whole year?
Yeah, anybody can do it. You just go there or you can do it online. You paid, I think it was $30. And you know how they give you those 20% off coupons and you can use it on one item? Well, it's 20% off of anything, but everything.
Okay.
For a year.
Okay, cool. That's a good little tip. I didn't know that. Yeah, like rewards program. So,
right.
Well, what Edith had a question too about your sourcing, and I'm curious, like, what categories you're in. Like, you said you just look for stuff that has a healthy margin, so you're not buying stuff that's super. So your strategy is probably a little different than Grant's, because I know Grant will buy stuff with like barely any margin because he's just a super volume. You'll find stuff that's a little bit healthier that you can afford if the price lowers. You're looking for stuff that's easy, so you're not doing glass, probably no electronics, stuff that doesn't break, I'm assuming. But what main categories do you like to sell in?
I like grocery. I'm doing some beauty and toys, of course, right now. Toys is a big one right now. And let's see, toys, grocery, beauty, health and beauty. Not electronic. I've got a few electronics, not many. I did find a good electronics thing that I rode the last month, and now it's kind of dwindling out. But I did buy and sell a lot of these headphone things. A lot of grocery, a lot of beauty, a lot of what other categories are there? Sometimes pets. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then the second question Edith had asked is all your sourcing from retail stores? But I think we already talked about this. I mean, if you had to say if you got 100% is your sourcing, what percent do you do online arbitrage versus what percent is your sourcing done with retail arbitrage?
I think I'm half and half right now.
About half and half. Okay.
Yeah.
And is most of the retail stuff you're doing, is that mostly for replens, or are you still, just using retail stuff in Q4 to kind of supplement your inventory?
I'm using replens to supplement in my lists to supplement my Q4 inventory and grocery. But currently I have a few good, really, really good replens. And of course, the thing with replenishables is it might be replenishable this month and next month it might not be. I've learned that. So several things that I've ridden the wave on, I buy it, and all of a sudden I'm going to stop buying it because there's 15 other people on there. So
yeah. Okay. So when you do your replens, how deep do you, I guess it kind of depends on the listing, but will you buy 5 or 10 of an item, or how do you know how deep to go on a replen item?
Yeah, I'll buy 3, 5 to start with and send it in and see what happens. And then if it goes well, I might send 10 in. And one thing I have right now that cost me $2 to buy when I buy it on sale. I only buy it when it's on sale, and it goes on sale frequently. I'll buy it for $2 and I'll sell it for $15, and my profit is $5. So that's really good turn on my money, I think. And right now I have about 150 of those, and they're ranked like 700 in grocery. So it's doing really, really well. Cool. So I hope I get to hold on to that one for a while, because I get my family to help me source that.
Yeah, that's great. So when the replens, they do have a season, I've noticed too. It's almost like a mini version of private label, because there's a season till, the market shifts or whatever. So if you find a replen, you want to stay in that honey hole as long as you can, obviously. But cool. If you guys got some questions, fire them off since we're live. I do want to talk through the second half of just connecting, Kim, of just kind of some of the breakthroughs and the mental breakthroughs. And I've been excited to talk to you. We have I've done a lot of different interviews for the group over the past couple of years. And I think a lot of people can relate to your story. And a lot of people see, Grant or Devin or some of the, these guys put up like some crazy numbers, and they think in their head, I can never sell like $1 million. Like, I just want to make an extra like $2,000 to $5,000 a month for my family. And then that's all. Like, I don't want to be a millionaire. And and I don't know y'all's goals. I know you guys want to put, with kids coming into college, your appetite to create income probably grows. I can imagine what that's like with kids. Well, I haven't dealt with that either, but so let's see here. If you guys have some questions, let's talk about capital, because this is one of the first big questions sellers have is, how do I find products? And you've answered that. Lead list, and part of T.A.P, you guys get the farm with lead lists. You have leads galore with all the different lists and the OH header. And I can talk on another conversation. But what did you guys do with capital? Did you have a big bankroll when you guys came here, or did you start small, or how did you guys, or did you use credit, or how did you guys fund the business when you first started?
Okay, this is what I did when I very, very, very first started in February. I decided to take $3,000 cash that was sitting in my boys' college money and just invest it, because it was going to sit there until they went to college, and they weren't ready yet. So I decided, I knew I could do that. I knew I could do it because I had done eBay, and I knew I could find products. So I decided to start with that, and I did that. And then I added another $1,000 to that of my own. And that money also paid for a course, within the group. And I used that. That was my money that I started with, and that's all I had. Then, when I saw T.A.P come together, I thought of another way I could get money, which was when I was teaching, when I quit teaching 17 years ago, the county gave me a payout. I guess it was the 6 years I was working there. They said, here's your IRA money. You made, there's $6,500 in that. So I took that money and I invested it in a Roth IRA. And from 17 years ago until this past June, it had gotten up to $11,700. So that was not a huge turn on my money. I figured I could do much better with that money if I just cashed it out, took the 10% penalty. And since I knew I could do this, I had faith in myself. I had faith in God. He would provide. I decided to go ahead and take that leap, cash it out, and that's what I've used. Was that for everything? I had that $11,700. So my goal was to just turn that and turn that and turn that and turn that. So I would suggest everybody to do that. I would not say cash out your money, but that's just something I was willing to gamble on.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because it's, full disclosure, we're not recommending anybody do this. Everyone's got a different path. The one thing I did notice, and there isn't a right or wrong answer to this question. I'm just curious because it's, you need inventory and you need capital to buy it. That's like the two pistons of the engine. And if you're missing on either one of those, you got like a lopsided motorcycle. So you got to have them both working in tandem. So you found what I think is interesting is when you saw an opportunity, well, first off, you had money sitting in a fund that was just going to sit there until the kids went to school. And you thought, hey, I believe in myself. I can invest in myself and make a better return. And now you can look back on that and say that was a great decision because you've built an asset now. And that's why I was asking earlier what your profit is for this month, because I'm just curious what that's turned into. So I'll have to get with Grant, find out what your net profit is. You should know that though. Next time we talk, I'll hold you accountable to that. We're going to start doing all profit stuff in the group. I'm going to forget about sales. We're just going to say we're going to talk all in terms of profit. But you've made that many times over. I mean, a 40,000 in sales, even if you're running a 20% margin, which is pretty low, you guys can do the math on what that is. I mean, you're talking anywhere from 5 to 10,000 conservatively. 20% would be an $8,000 month. But so you've taken that 3,000 and turned it into, and you can do that over and over again. And then the second thing is when there was an opportunity that came in front of you to join T.A.P, and T.A.P isn't an inexpensive program. We specifically make it that way so that you commit. It's part of why we designed it that way. But when there was an opportunity, you said, hey, I can get some mentorship. You found a way to get creative. This is what I love about your story. And I've heard that said before, that there's no shortage of money in the world. There's only a shortage of ideas. And I really believe that. And anytime that, it's come for us too, when there's been different investments or opportunities, we've had some different ones that have come up. As the opportunities get bigger, it's amazing how resourceful you can be when you actually just like let go of the fear of whatever and say, how could I create this? And so you guys did that. So I love that you did that because that same muscle, it's like a skill. And if you can do that for $100 or $1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000, I believe you can do that. I've got a friend of mine right now that's he was doing a $200,000 raise for a real estate project he's working on, but he just upped it to a $5 million raise. And I've heard from people that this is a complete sidebar, but that it's actually easier to raise large amounts of money than it is smaller amounts of money. This is a sidebar conversation for those of you guys that are interested in this capital piece. But anyways, I love that part about your story though, Kim. I was curious how you did that. So, well, a lot of people want to know, Ida says, yeah, good call. It's easier to understand profit. We'll be more profit focused. In fact, sidebar, Kim, where is my Profit First book? I got to find this book, guys. I've been reading this book that's been rocking my world recently this past year. It's called Profit First. It's written by Mike Michalowicz. If any of you guys like to read, just write that name down. I'll find it for you guys and put a post in the group. So, hey, let's talk, Kim, I want to talk about what shipped. We could spin here and talk about Amazon, all this stuff all day. But what I've noticed is it's very rarely is the actual, like the secret list you're on or the secret software or whatever. It's usually a mindset shift. So what happened? You joined T.A.P 7 months ago. And Grant told me, I think it was June when we opened it up. We're in December now. So it's been 7 months you've been in here. what's been the change in you? I mean, you've obviously you're buying more inventory now, but was that because you have more capital now to buy, or is that because you have more confidence now to buy?
Probably more confidence. Yes, I probably buy more because I'm more confident of my what I purchase, and I don't mind if it doesn't turn out well. Like sometimes you'll buy something, it just isn't a good buy, but you just let that go on with. I mean, it's just part of it. There's been a couple things that I bought that everybody thought were going to be great things back in the summer, so I invested in those and ended up taking them back. It was a pretty funny time, but it didn't upset me. I can't let it ruffle my feathers. I just had to kind of go with the flow. And it was a big purchase. It was a $2,500. I put $2,500 into it, and I returned them all. But yeah, probably. Plus, having a little money to reinvest is good too. But my mindset was when I think the thing that really turned the table for me was when putting stuff in the inventory lab, and you see the numbers on the bottom, and it says, you know, what your cost is, what the profit is. I had a daily goal of sending in $300 of profit a day. And that's what really jump-started me. And I knew that number was probably inflated because prices are going to decrease on things. And I knew that. But my goal for about a month, I tried to send in $300 of profit every single day. And that really got me going. So okay. I would say to look at that number and even try to make that $100 a day or $200 every other day if you don't want to ship every day. You know, some days I didn't ship, so I would try to double that on another day. But I just kind of set that goal.
Okay, cool. So there's a couple pieces of wisdom you just said in that. One, well, you had a goal. You focused on a small step. So you didn't focus on the big elephant. You said, how can I just win today? So you didn't say, how can I go make, all this for the month? How can I put $300 on the board today? And so you're using Inventory Lab to track your net profit, which we fully support as the group. It's probably the best way to track your inventory. You broke that into simple. And then you said your confidence increased. And I'm curious if that's because of Grant or the group, or, what would cause your confidence to increase? Because you were, had the same skills. I know you've learned some different things. And then you also mentioned a third thing of being okay to let go of the mistakes. And that's one thing I've become very present. Like, this business can be a very frustrating business, like totally candidacy. And people, you'll buy product and it's restricted, or you'll buy product and then you'll send it in and then the price will drop. There's all these things that can happen. And I see a lot of sellers get super attached, or this happens all the time. Someone gets into private label too early, not knowing what they're doing, and they spend $5,000 or $8,000 on a private label product, and it just sits there. And they're like, well, shoot, I've invested all this money, and they get so emotionally attached to it. And really, you need to let go, liquidate, and you need to reinvest and move into something else that's going to move you forward, But I'm kind of curious, and this is the part, feel free. I want to give you full permission to be totally transparent, because Grant will never see this video. And that part I was just joking on. But I am curious, you've been working with Grant as a mentor for the past 7 months. What's it been like working with Grant? And I'm not asking just for the good stuff. I want to know, has it been good? Has he been challenging? Like, what's it been like working with him?
It's been great. It's good support, definitely good support. And he's active on our chat and gives us lots of tips, gives us lots of advice as a whole, and then individually. I'm sure he individualizes all of us separately, differently, according to what our needs are right now and where we are in the business. And he's just really good about helping us. He really, really, really wants us to succeed, and we can tell that. We can tell that, just the tips he gives and the help he gives and the advice and the feedback. It's been good. It's been a good experience.
Yeah, I can tell you from working with Grant on the other side, he truly cares for you guys. He loves you guys, and he wants you. I mean, he's fully emotionally invested in your success. maybe even more emotionally than he should be, because at some point, I mean, he has to, there's a line there, but he really cares about you and wants you guys to be successful, probably more than he wants to be successful. I think it brings him great joy to see you guys winning. And it's not just you. He was telling me yesterday, he mentioned and was singing praises for Mary, for Carolyn in the group. He said Courtney's been doing some awesome things recently. He said Steve and Daisy Butler have been just kicking butt this month. I think he mentioned they're like 50% growth year over year from last year. So there's our success rate inside T.A.P has been really high. That's why I wanted to talk to you and kind of find out what's been happening in T.A.P. I mean, you mentioned the lead list, you mentioned the support of the group. What's been your, we designed this in a specific way. When we first sat down to create T.A.P, we said, how can we help someone get results? How can we help someone go from $100 a day to, we've revised that goal to $1,000 a day in profit. This is kind of some of our new goals we're working on for next year. But what's been one of your favorite parts about being in the T.A.P group?
The constant, having that group to constantly talk to about business, and just supporting each other, even on non-business things, personal things. We have one person that's struggling with the medical issues with her eyes, and she's had some physical challenges, and it's just good to support her and love on her where she is, because I'm sure she's frustrated with she has a hard time getting out because of some light sensitivities and stuff like that. So it's been good to just talk to each other on a different level other than business. Then with business things, it's nice to chat about that and just give each other advice and friendships. Friendships, yeah. You
made some good friends from T.A.P?
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure we see each other. I've met some of them at the live event in Louisville, so that was really cool that we got to actually meet each other. And I am, a shout out to Courtney. I was really impressed when I saw her numbers recently, and she has 2 small girls. I think it's hard with teenagers that can help me constantly. And they can fend for themselves. And if I don't cook, I can just give them money and say, go find something. But she is doing this. She's kicking butt with 2 little girls. And I'm sure they help her a little bit, but you have to be more attentive to smaller kids.
Yeah, it's like a small miracle. I mean, it's a small miracle to pull it off with kids of any age, I think. But then with small children, I can't even imagine. I've got all my friends have like young children, so I can only imagine what it'd be like with 2 or 3 people running around the house. But yeah, Courtney's been kicking butt too. We'll have to connect with her. So really what you're saying is the constant support. I mean, that's the one thing I've noticed is it's like 24/7 in the chat. So it's not, and I appreciate your transparency. So it's not like the awesome mentoring breakthrough that Grant's been, causing you to change. It's the community. And I know Grant's been a big part of facilitating that and leading the group. So I'm really grateful for him being able to pour into you. But really, it's been that support from the group. And has there been any level of accountability? Has it been harder to like slack off than it was when you're not in a group like that?
I think everybody's just doing it at their own level, really. I mean, if we have to take off a few days, it's not like, nope, you need to get back on the Amazon train. No, it's there's just support for each other, and Grant supporting all of us. I hold myself accountable, and I want my numbers to keep growing. But yes, there is accountability. And Steve Butler had a great idea within our small group. Let's try to give each other leads. 1 a week during Q4. The last few weeks. So when we think of it, if we find something great, we'll just share it with each other. And I've sent in some great stuff through those leads. And hopefully all of us have. So it's just that community. And so we've been sharing and growing together.
Yeah, very cool. I'm always curious, what causes the rubber to hit the road, and where do we get the traction at? And, for you, I'm hearing through your story, so much of this was like a belief. I mean, you had experience, you had sold some stuff on eBay, so you had kind of felt the power a little bit of e-commerce, but just, dove into Amazon. So relatively, I mean, technically this is your second Q4, right? But last Q4 was a little quieter than this one, sounds like.
Yeah, I sold $50 maybe in bags. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm curious, and I do want to ask kind of a button-up question with T.A.P. But well, let me just ask this first, and then we'll move on to the other stuff. But if someone were considering being a part of T.A.P. or a group like this, and we've had a lot of people express interest, we've had Devin say that he might consider opening up a group and doing some work and stuff. What would you say to someone who's been selling on Amazon? Maybe they're just getting started. And they're considering being a part of a mastermind or a group like that. What would you say to a person like that?
I would say make sure you're going to really do it. Don't just think you're going to do it. You have to actually say you're going to do it. You have to, if you're going to invest, then you better be ready to run and hustle. I would just say, this business has a lot of hustle to it, and you got to do that to make it work. You can get all the advice from people you want and not do anything with it. You have to actually be willing to do it, even when you don't want to. Usually I do want to because I really enjoy it, but sometimes I'm over it and I just want to rest and relax, but I need to finish what I need to finish. So I put the work into it so that I can rest more later. I know there's a lot of upfront work, and I am willing to put that into it right now so that later it's easier, because Grant told us it will get easier. He was in the same boat where he shared probably with all of us that he was working like 80 hours a week doing this and just neglecting everything. And you can do that. It's very easy to do that. And I've done that on some days, but I'm trying to learn how to balance my schedule a little bit more now, since I'm actually seeing how it is getting easier with time. So, you just got to put the work into it. And if you want to join a group like this, that's great, but you have to do the work with it. And the group is great.
So that's good advice. So, and this goes from someone, if you're joining a mastermind or considering joining T.A.P. or doing anything in life, but if you're going to I think you could apply this to pretty much anything. First thing is commit. If you're going to do it, just do it. There is no try, either do it or don't do it, but just commit to whatever you're going to do 100%, you'll succeed. And then number two is be willing to do the work. And I think that's great advice. Again, whether you join a mastermind group or a mentoring group like this or do anything, is you've got to do the work and you've got to put the time in. There really is no shortcut to success in that sense. And I've learned a lot about this from Gary Ray in the group too. He talks about this a lot of how successful people have this uncanny ability to show up and work when they don't feel like it. And I think that's a big part of it, because it's easy to work when you're inspired. And this, life's like this. Some days you're feeling it, some days you're not. And I think the key to successful, a productive business is being able to do the work when you don't feel like it. And being a part of a group sometimes helps that, because you can't, as entrepreneurs, we like to isolate ourselves and kind of hide sometimes, because a lot of people don't understand what we do. And you try and tell your family, and a lot of people don't have a lot of support from people in their life or from church or from wherever. And being a part of a group like that helps give you that accountability for specific stuff. Because sometimes I've noticed to tell people what we do, and they think you're speaking Chinese. You're sourcing and inventory lab and SKUs and ASINs. It's there's a whole lingo with the group. But let me just give a quick soft call to action for any of you guys that are watching this replay and you're interested in being a part of T.A.P. or learning more about that. We have one spot in the group that Kim's in, that she's talking about, open at the time you're watching this video. That may or not be available. We may have other groups, but you can apply at theapprenticeprogram.net. And I'll put that in the chat for any of you guys that want to be a part of this or talk to one of our coaches. And basically what happens is you sign up for a strategy call, put a small deposit down on the program, set up for a strategy call, and then we get on the phone and connect with you to see if it's a good fit, where you're at, and what would serve you the most. And if it is a good fit, we'd invite you in. If it's not, then we'd let you either use the call or go on your way. But theapprenticeprogram.net is where you guys can find info on that. There was another question that came in, Kim, about how you guys grew, and we've got just a couple minutes here left, so I'll kind of rapid fire, if that's okay, a couple last minute questions people have live. Did you guys reinvest your profits into the business, or did you start taking a salary? And if so, when did you start taking profits?
I haven't taken anything yet.
So you've been reinvesting 100% of what you guys are doing.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I plan on taking, my goal was to start this January by paying for Christmas, our, gifts and stuff that we buy. So my goal was to be able to use this to pay for Christmas, and then starting in February, taking some out each month, but not a lot, I've been reinvesting. And I also, I did leverage my credit card in the month of November, December. I talked to my dad first about that because I don't like to have credit card debt, but I did. And I'm glad I did. Something else I wouldn't suggest for everybody to do, but I felt pretty good with the lists that I had and with the other things that I found to buy and to send in and to invest in. So I did use credit, and my next payout will, along with the last payout, will pay for almost all of that. So, and then some. That's good.
Okay. I appreciate you sharing that because it kind of does help some context. So you said you're glad you used it now. When you're first starting off, I noticed you just took the cash that you had to invest. I think that was really wise. A lot of people ask, when's the right time? So a couple of keys here. Number one, you didn't take profits. I want you guys to, a lot of you, and I see Edith and some of you guys that are on here, if you want to grow fast, and everybody that I've talked to that's had fast results, and Kim, I mean, considering where you've gone from 3,000 total sales 7 months ago to having a $40,000 month, I would consider that rapid growth, because now like come next Q4, you're going to know exactly what to do. In the middle of the summer, you'll be able to ramp up right into Q4 and probably at least double, if not. We see a lot of sellers that do multiples, once you've had that first season. She was asking time-wise. I think you mentioned how much time you spend. Edith had a specific question. How much time would she need starting part-time? Can you start this business with 1 to 2 hours a night or a day if you were doing real specific OA? Or what would you say to someone who's just getting started, maybe has a full-time job or hustle, and they're trying to squeeze this in like you did?
Yeah, we have some people in the group that have full-time jobs, and they do this around that, I just happen to be in a position where I have time during the day to do it, but there's a lot of people that do this. I know Grant said he started off just doing it at nighttime, because he had a full-time job or a full-time business. And so he just did it around the hours that he had. So I would say my strategy would be to stay up late. And whether you go to stores late at night and do some scanning, or find deals online to buy, or, ship your shipments at night and send them in the next morning. But yeah, I'm sure. I just started off doing a few hours a day.
Yeah, I asked, I was almost like a rhetorical question, because I've asked, there's a lot of people in the group that just started part-time, started with, even way less than what you started with. We have some people that have started with, like, they spent $100 or they spent, $20 and they bought some item that was on clearance. They sent it in, it sold, and then they reinvested the money. So the key is, if you want to grow fast, though, you've got to be able to reinvest your money. And this is a key thing. A lot of people, I want to make sure that we highlight that, because if you have another income source or a day job or something else, and you don't have to take profits early, that's going to allow you to grow faster than someone who has to live off of Amazon. And if you have to, it just puts you in a tough position where you've got to put points on the board to put food on the table. And that's not a powerful position to grow your business. And you want to be able to grow it and give your business time to grow, just like a baby. And you got to feed it in the early days and give it a chance to grow. And then once it gets up to speed, then it's much easier. And there's actually less work once it gets moving, and you can hire people and put systems in place to actually work less and make more. And that's the fun part. So the challenge for any new seller, though, is you've got to go through that phase. And Kim, you've put in the good work. And we have a lot of T.A.P members. I see Jan Knapp that's on live. I saw, who else did I see on here from the group? John Humphreys is on. I saw Elizabeth Garcia is on. So there's a lot of T.A.P members. And there's someone else. Where did I see? Did I see Steve Butler on here too? I think Steve's on here too. So kind of rooting you on. I did want to just kind of celebrate you today and give you some much needed recognition, because it's sometimes a thankless job, and you guys in T.A.P do a real good job of recognizing you. But I did want to recognize you in front of the whole group. And so if you guys are watching this, send some love to Kim, to her way, for what you guys have accomplished. But Let me ask this as we wrap up. Knowing what you know now, Kim, about Q4, and having gone through and been in T.A.P and having the experience you've had, what would you do differently if you were starting over again? You had the same knowledge, same startup capital you had the first time. What would you do differently?
About Q4?
Just in general, yeah.
Well, Grant, a long time ago gave us some Amazon flips to work. For many months he's been giving us lists of things, and I actually did start buying those things late in the summer. And he said, well, you don't really need to do that. You can wait until, October to start buying that stuff. But some of it was at a really good deal, so I decided to buy some of that stuff and hold on to it. But I've learned since then, just wait until later, because you can use that money that your inventory is in. You could probably flip it again, and let it grow even more, rather than buying inventory, unless it's just a killer good deal that you can't resist. And I probably started buying for a Q4 a little too early, but that's okay. It's going to pay off. It'll be fine. But that's one thing I would do differently.
Okay.
I would just wait until later in the season to start buying for Q4.
So you're a little eager buying stuff. So one thing you wouldn't do the buy and hold stuff so early. You'd wait till a little later in the season, and I can ask you about you'd buy stuff that you could turn now. So in the summer months, you want to turn your inventory, and then when would you, again, if you knowing what you know now, if you could go back, when would you start your Q4 buying? Like for buying next year, when are you projecting to really start hitting the Q4 stuff?
October and early November.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I bought some stuff in July, not a ton, not a whole lot, but just, I found some really good stuff, and it's selling now. But it's not like it's making, I bought this one thing and I bought 30 of them, and I spent $7.50 each on them, and I'm making about $7 on each one of them. Well, I could have, probably that'd be more money by now if I would have just held off.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I love, so you were too prepared for Q4. You would buy stuff that turns a little faster and then wait till October, beginning of November to really kick off the season. And we're learning things even this year. This is Grant's and Devin's fourth Q4. And those guys have been learning things and teaching me this year about things that they're learning that they didn't learn the first 3 years. So I think every year you go through it, there's some lessons you pick up. And that's one of the keys I've learned too, especially in Amazon, is just to pick like one thing to focus on for the new year. And I know you've kind of found your sweet spot. I think that's another attest to your success. You've really honed in on buying through OA, through the list, and then also through doing the replens that you do. So you've kind of honed in on that strategy. What's your plan? What are y'all's goals for the new year? I'm just kind of curious.
My goal is more OA and online buying, and to just figure that part of it out even more so, because I feel like when I buy online, it gives me more time back because I'm not running around crazy. But there is really good stuff to find out there too. I mean, I don't mind doing both, but I just want to learn how to better leverage the online part of it. And also I would like to look, as a group, I know you talked about learning more about private label. I'd like to, look into wholesale. In January, I plan on going to, Samantha talked about the Mart.
Yep.
I have a friend who goes there. I'm going to stay at a hotel with her down at the Atlanta Mart, and Samantha will be there too, she said. But I plan on just going and checking it out for a few days and looking at some different wholesale options, if there are any down there, and just kind of looking and seeing what's down there. Just look at different things. Keep doing what I'm doing, but also look ahead, because when I very, very, very first started looking at Amazon, I thought I had to do private label. So I literally researched private label for about 2 to 3 months daily before I decided, I realized, I need to just sell stuff before I even think about doing that. So that's when I joined this group. But I have researched it a lot, and I look forward to learning more about that as time goes.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great goal. And with what you know, even if you added 3 private label products to your repertoire in Q1, and then you added another, I don't know, 5 or 10 throughout the middle of the summer, and then you did what Craig did and added another, your business can be in a totally different. I've seen people put zeros at the end of their payouts just doing a couple little things. And so we will be walking through, and Grant and I have been talking a lot about this because he's been getting into private label, and him and Devin have a couple products they've launched. And so they're just a couple steps ahead. And we're going to have some really cool stuff with Craig. In fact, this is unofficial, but I can probably share this. We've invited Craig to jump on one of our early, I think our January T.A.P hangouts. So we'll get to kind of do some preseason work with him on this because I know a lot of you guys in T.A.P are moving this way. So, hey, a couple real quick questions, and I wanted to wrap up right at the top of the hour, but Linda, you asked some good questions. First off, Jan Knapp had a quick comment. She said, T.A.P's been a wonderful experience for me. I have learned principles that will take through my Amazon journey. So thank you, Jan. Appreciate you. Appreciate you being in the group. I just combined both your names. Alexander mentioned that reinvestment is the key. We have started together with our friends last year. We are over 100K and they are hardly on 10K. This is serious. As our friend from the UK, Alexander's been lighting the world on fire over there. So, hey, Linda had a quick question. Linda, what's up, Linda? If you don't mind me asking, what category did you go deepest in for Q4? So I appreciate you sharing the categories. Which one was like your favorite?
I went deepest in toys. Yes, definitely deepest in toys, and they're selling pretty well. I mean, there's a few. I'm very wide. I have a lot of SKUs, and a few of them to me, deep is maybe 20. I'm not like 100 in anything, but with toys, the things that sold quickly, I just went out and replenished. I kind of stopped that now, but I sent in my last shipment of toys last week. But yeah, definitely toys for Q4 is what I did because that's kind of what our group was doing.
Cool. There you go, Linda. She went deep in toys. And she said, if you don't mind me, let's see here. She also asked, I think we answered this earlier, but are you using a prep center for your OA or are you using a kid center for OA?
Myself, my kids, my husband, and my kitchen.
A kid prep zone. Okay. And whole family prep zone. There you go, Linda. I know there's a lot of people in the group that do both, especially if you can find a prep center, but you can also do it at home. So cool. Well, Kim, thank you very much for carving out some time. I know it's not every day you jump on camera and share your story, but I did want to recognize you for all the hard work you've been putting in and really just share with people that are in the group that may be just starting or maybe ahead of you, just to inspire some people of what you can accomplish when you, and this is the big takeaways I've pulled away from today. 1, you commit to yourself, whether you're in a mentoring program or not. And 2, you just do the work and you just show up to it. And so much of this business and everything in life is just a mental game and the confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, that's one of the benefits to having a mentor, because you can lean on someone like Grant when you don't have confidence and you're not sure what you're doing. And it really helps to know, hey, this is a good buying decision or this is not a good buying decision. But Linda says, thanks. So Linda, appreciate you being on. Lucretia Benjamin said, awesome story. Thank you for sharing. And Daisy Pringle said, great job, Kim. So another fellow T.A.P member, John Humphreys, is in here. So awesome, guys. Well, if you're watching the replay, I will link up below this with all the links for group and T.A.P program for those of you guys that are interested in being a part of this. And Kim, I'm looking forward to connecting with you maybe this time next year once you guys have some private label products and we can talk through kind of your next chapter of the adventure, which is why I asked you what's on the docket for you. But all seriousness, congratulations on your success and for you and your family. And just want to thank you for being on with us today.
Thank you. It's great.
Awesome. We got a bunch of comments coming in here at the end. So, Jan, when you are doing this alone, T.A.P groups make you feel not alone. That's a good way to put it. And I would recommend that. Don't do the business alone. This is one last piece I'll leave you guys with. Get a team. This is everything created as team success. And Kim, I've noticed this in your story. You get to work with your husband. I know he has a home business that he runs too, which is a side conversation, but you get your kids involved. And I love that you guys have made this a family business, because that's something that you can pass on not just the business, but the skills that you're teaching your kids of how to work in a business and create income. That's priceless. And I love that you guys are doing that. I think that's like the ultimate success, no matter how much money you guys go on to make, and hopefully you get to pay for their college and do all the stuff that you guys want to do. But yeah, anyways, thank you, Kim. Appreciate you sharing your time.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, have an awesome day. Friends in the group, have a prosperous weekend, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.